Fine, rolling.
Rolling! Rolling!
How are y'all doing today?
Oh, everything is going great. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Stan, have you seen the documentary, or is this going to be your first time seeing it tonight?
Well, believe it or not, it'll be like the first time, because the last time I saw it must have been months, maybe a couple of years ago.
Right.
So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. And so for those
With those incredible Kiss costumes. And what do you got? Oh, that's not enough. It's not enough. I don't come to that tree, I'm not letting it go.
Okay, well, you're here for With Great Power, the Stan Lee story, and it got picked up by Epix already, and it hasn't even premiered yet. How excited are you about that?
Pretty excited because it's supposedly the story of my life. Now, I last saw it more than a year ago, and I understand they've even done a lot of new things to it that I haven't seen, so I can't wait to see about me and make sure that they got everything very accurate, of course. Make sure that all the glamour is there and all the excitement and all the wonderfulness of me, that none of it was left out.
Well, you know, your legacy, Marvel Comics, the superheroes that we all grew up with and they're making a ton of movies about now for the last 12, 14 years, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Daredevil, the list goes on and on, Avengers, Captain America. I mean, you know, all these superheroes, you know, most of them you worked on within just creative, within just a space of a couple of years. I mean, when you look back on that time of the early days of the mighty Marvel, what do you think about that period in hindsight?
Well, I don't think about it much because I'm too busy with our new company, POW Entertainment. But when I do think about it, when you mentioned we did it in the space of 2 years, it might have even been 3 years, but what happened was we did the Fantastic Four first, and it was very successful. So my publisher said to me, hey, Stan, come up with some more superheroes. So I came up, I forget the order, the X-Men, the Spider-Man, the Hulk, however the order was, Iron Man. But we didn't know we were doing anything that exceptional. It was our job to do new books. Until then, we were doing monster books, and before that, we were doing westerns and crime and romance. So now we were coming up with new superheroes. So we did one after another, and we never dreamt that they would make a lasting impression, or that someday they'd be making movies of them, or that someday I'd be interviewed about the documentary of my life
By a guy wearing a Spider-Man
in
t-shirt.
a Spider-Man t-shirt at the Slam Dance. I can't believe it.
Well, you know, this year, 2012, is the 50th anniversary of the Webhead, of the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, why do you think that the character of Spider-Man, I think, more than some of the other great creations that you've done, why do you think Spider-Man has just endured so much?
Well, first of all, I think the stories and the artwork were great.
Yep.
But also, I think that there's something about Peter Parker. He's sort of an everyman superhero. I made him a teenager because I hated teenage sidekicks like Batman and Robin. The idea of a grown man going around with a kid, you know, at the very least, people would talk.
Sure.
So what I thought was, I want to do a teenager, but I'll make him the hero, not a sidekick. Then, to try to make it realistic, I thought I'll give him a lot of problems. He's not that great looking. He doesn't knock the girls out of their socks when they see him. He's not that popular.
Story of my life, by the way.
And mine. He's not that, he doesn't have that much money. He's an orphan living with his aunt. All those things. Apparently, a lot of readers related to that. We touched something, because I didn't purposely do it, but I found out later most teenagers, and me too at the time, are insecure, have problems, don't know where they're heading. And so they were able to relate to Peter Parker. So it turned out that just because I didn't want him to be a typical sidekick, he turned out to be just what the market seemed ready for at the time.
No question about it, especially during the 60s.
Yeah.
But in the last, 14 years since Blade, and definitely with the first X-Men in 2000, Marvel films have just been on a roll adapting these stories into big Hollywood movies. What is your favorite of all the Marvel films?
I don't have a favorite. No, I love the X-Men. I thought Iron Man was sensational. I loved Thor, and I thought Captain America. I was worried, how can they do Captain America and not make it corny? I think they did a great job on that. The Hulk, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, they were good. I mean, they were feasts for the eyes. There were all those special effects and things happening, and it was a comic book brought to life and made bigger and better than ever, and I really loved them all.
Well, my favorite, just in case anybody cares, is Spider-Man 2. I just thought that was just a great adaptation of Amazing Spider-Man number 50, the red cover that John Romita Sr. drew, Spider-Man No More.
And me saving the girl in my cameo thing. By the way, my cameos.
Yes, let's talk about
I
your
was
cameos.
waiting. I was waiting for you to ask me. I was waiting for you to ask me why these movies are so popular. And of course, I was going to say it's my cameos that bring them in.
Of course.
Wait till you see my cameo in the next Spider-Man, in the new Spider-Man. It is so funny.
Oh,
and then in the Avengers, it's even funnier. They're now giving me funny cameos, And in fact, pretty soon I want them to say co-starring Stan Lee and then the rest of the cast. Wow. But obviously, that's what brings the audience in.
Well, your name is in the opening credits of every single Marvel film.
Yeah, but it's no bigger than anybody else's. Where's my lawyer?
You know what? In our hearts and our minds, your name is above and beyond the top name on every single Marvel movie.
You've suddenly become my favorite interviewer.
It's the shirt, isn't it? Well, tell us about, what's going on with Power Entertainment, too.
Well, we formed this little company, Power Entertainment, not to compete with Marvel or with Disney that we have a relationship, but just to get a lot of things out of my system. So we're doing a new comic book called The Mighty Seven, which is the world's first reality comic book. It has real characters in the stories, including me. I'm one of the characters in the book. I think it's going to create quite a stir when it comes on sale pretty soon. And then we also have something called Stan Lee's Children's Universe. I decided, why leave out the very young kids? They deserve a little of the Stan Lee touch. So we have little funny animals and things, but they're very hip, and I think the kids are going to love them. I can't wait till those books come in. We're also doing a few movies. We have a new Indian superhero, a new Chinese superhero, and we're working on a Latin American superhero, not for those countries, for the whole world. But instead of the hero being American, he'll be Chinese and so forth. And we're very excited about these movies that are in development now. We have a number of television shows in development. We have a live-action theatrical, it's one of the biggest shows ever. It's called Yin and Yang, the story of Tao, T-A-O.
Okay.
And it's a big open show where the audience is part of the show. And we're going to probably open up in Macau in Asia, because they only have a theater big enough to accommodate this, and then we'll work it out. And we do keep busy, and after this interview, I'm going to kick myself, because I'm going to, oh gee, I should have told him about this, and I didn't think about that.
I'm going to kick myself with all the questions I wish I could ask, including, The Amazing Spider-Man comes out in July, and this is just 10 years after Tobey Maguire put on the red and blue outfit. And I'm wondering, how does Andrew Garfield take over and make the film his own?
Well, it is the most gratifying thing in the world. I am Tobey Maguire's biggest fan. He's talented. He's the nicest guy in the world. Nobody could have done a better job on Spider-Man than he did.
Yeah.
But Andrew Garfield brings his own charisma into this role, and he's as good as Tobey was. I think people are going to love him. He doesn't imitate Tobey. He does his own version of it, but just as Tobey really was the essence of Peter Parker, so is Andrew Garfield. I can't wait till you see it. You'll love it.
And last question, tell me about the real Stan Lee.
There is no real Stan Lee. What you see here is a sham. I'm a guy that was hired to do this because I'm so charismatic and I speak so beautifully and I'm so handsome. The real Stan Lee is somewhere off in a corner, hoping that I don't embarrass him.
Enough said.
Excelsior!
That's all right. Thank you so much.
Hey, great talking
Great
to
talking
you.
with you.
I didn't have time to raise you.
Good.